Hey guys, welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations. Recipe for Turnabout. We are in the final-ish stretch. We're on the trial. This is the last day of trial. And yeah, some shit went down in the last episode. Nick and Maya got saved from mobsters again. By Gumshoe again. And Viola Cadaverini is very, very sad, and I love her very much. Inferior Tiger is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So let's do it.
Good morning, Mr. Wright.
Good morning, Maggie.
So what do you think is going to happen today, sir? Yesterday's session didn't go so well. It ended at a giant mystery. That's true.
How you doing, Nick?
Oh.
You think Nick got hit in the face, or do you think it was all punches to the stomach again?
Oh, no, he got hit in the face.
Well, you're lucky. Oh, go ahead.
How's the bruise look? Not noticeable?
I think I did a good enough job. You're really lucky sis taught me how to put on makeup.
Thank you.
Oh, of course. Oh my god, you can't walk into court looking like you just got the shit beat out of you. Oh.
I still feel like I just got the shit beaten out of me.
Oh. I forgot to mention earlier, but I love how good this game is at getting rid of evidence you don't need anymore. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they mention it. I love how later games mention it, mainly at the expense of another character, but it's always funny. It's always at the expense of Miri's favorite character, but it is always funny.
And we still haven't solved a single part of it yet.
Are you okay, Nick?
Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. I saw that. A little flash of doubt in your eyes.
Oh, I was just about to tell you to be more convincing for Maggie, but there we go.
Oh, look, I'm in pain, Maggie. No, that wasn't doubt. That was, pain and determination. Determined pain. Why don't I believe you?
You're so perfect for Maggie. I love how you're just like, I'll take Maggie, and then your delivery of that line was so good. Indigestion! Yeah, exactly. It's nearly time, Maggie. You better get going to the defendant's seat.
Roger, don't let me down, Mr. Wright. I'm counting on you.
I knew that fucking Undertale reference was coming up. Damn it. The sight of the familiar door is looming before you fills you with determination. Determination fills me with, that word fills me with dread now, thanks to Undertale. Hey, pal!
Hey, Detective Gumshoe.
Quit stressing Maggie out. She don't need that.
How do you know she was stressed?
Meanwhile, Gumshoe's got like 2 black eyes. He's still standing, but you know that boy took some hits.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think this might have been a moment he actually would have whipped his gun out.
Yeah, that's fair. He hates them, but yeah, when Tigre advanced on him, he probably would have drawn his gun.
Yeah.
I was watching through the doorway.
Oh.
You look like you lost the case already. Show a bit of confidence, will you, pal? Here, maybe this'll help. Huh? Have you taken up aromatherapy too? Not in a million years, pal. Don't tell me that you don't remember this thing.
Come to think of it, that doesn't look like one of those aromatherapy bottles.
This is the small bottle that turned up in Tribulations' kitchen a couple of days ago. Wow, Wow, look at all these little bottles.
Oh, they're aromatherapy oils. He's got so many. They're overflowing onto the floor.
Hey, wait a minute. There's one bottle that's different from all the others.
Well, what do you know? And it doesn't have a label either.
And... nah, it doesn't smell. We finally got the analysis results back from the lab. So, what is it? Is it the poison? I'm afraid not, pal. It's medication. Medication? Yeah, for ears. Topical use only, apparently.
For ears? You mean...
Yeah, it's the medication Glenn Elg was using for his ruptured eardrum.
What was Glenn Elg's ear medication doing in the kitchen?
2 guesses, Nick. How did Sis's Magatama end up in the kitchen?
It was stolen from me by... Ugh.
Yeah. 2 guesses, Nick. The victim's ear medicine found covered in unidentified fingerprints in the kitchen.
What about those unidentified fingerprints? Anything on that?
Someone screwed up, so they only had time to analyze the contents of the bottle. Another hour and they might have gotten some in the prints, but...
That's going to weaken its impact in the as a piece of evidence.
Yeah, trust me, pal. Forensics wasn't happy.
Really?
Oh. You don't want to mess with the forensic head, pal.
Scary.
She's really nice to me.
That's a plus, right?
I don't think she'd like you, though. So you actually don't want to meet her.
Oh. Why doesn't she like me?
Okay, pal, this is it. Make sure your defense is impregnable today, got it?
No. Yay. Today's trial. I'm going to expose that guy for what he's done, or my name isn't Phoenix Wright.
I'm gonna be leaning in and out towards my mic because I have to get close to my mic to be Godot. Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Bird.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
Ready and waiting as always, Your Honor. Very good. Then we'll get underway at once. Yesterday we heard the testimony of...
I agree, Your Honor.
Oh, have you been summoning eldritch beings too, Mr. Wright?
No.
Good. There was going to need to be a 5th badger if that were the case.
No, no more. Please, no more.
We shall see, Mr. Wright. Gatewater land needs its sacrifices. Anyway, yesterday we heard the testimony of Mr. Victor Kudo. He claims to have witnessed the defendant putting a powder into the victim's coffee. However, the witness's testimony was plagued with a number of problems. The mark on the rim of the cup shows that the victim drank it with his right hand. But according to the old man's testimony, he picked it up with his left hand. Thank you, Mr. Godot. Furthermore, according to the witness's account, the victim was listening to the radio with an earpiece in his left ear. Yet the victim's left eardrum was ruptured, which made him effectively deaf in that ear. It's amazing how many contradictions a single case can have, huh, Nick? Allow me to enlighten you, Your Honor. The world, you see, keeps turning, and we must turn with it. You've lost me already, Mr. Godot. Don't let the mysteries of yesterday mystify you today. Only losers think like that. You've got to change with the times. That's one of my rules. Are you implying that you've resolved these contradictions? You know the answers to these riddles? The old guy wasn't just throwing seed in here. He was throwing us off the scent. And today, I'll prove it. Very well. Let the first witness take the stand. Oh, joy. This is...
Oh boy.
This is gonna go...
Oh boy.
amazingly. And you are? Oh, bonjour, everyone. I am Jean Armstrong, the owner and head chef of La Tribulations restaurant. Enchanté! Forgive me for asking, witness, but are you a woman? Ooh la la, monsieur. As you can see, I am la pert and perky gentleman, non? On the day of the incident, you were in Trebian's kitchen. Isn't that right? With you, monsieur? You have to forgive my timing. I have to literally lean back and forth so I'm not blowing y'all's ears out. Everything feels right.
Thank God. He's not flirting with me anymore. Wow, he's totally unfazed. Doesn't anything intimidate this guy?
I don't know. He said he crawled up from the depths of hell, so I mean, if he's been in hell... No?
Hell's a place in Michigan, and it's pretty damn cold, actually.
Hell's a place in a lot of places, Nick, but I think he more meant the biblical hell.
True.
And according to Dante's Inferno, hell is cold.
Yeah, so I guess Michigan has it right.
Godot is probably used to... Yeah, that too. Godot is probably used to people flirting with him. Yes, he probably is. He's hot as fuck. Very well. Your testimony, please, witness. Please tell the court what happened that day at Tribia. Oui, volontiers. Okay, so it should be... Okay, we need to save. And then press every single statement, and voila. The achievement should pop when you have to present a piece of evidence. When it all happened, there were just 2 customers in my restaurant. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decos that day. Like having a large mirror between the tables, for example. Oh oui, perhaps that is what the old man was looking at. La cup, la earpiece, and the glasses. He would have seen everything in reverse, no? Honk, honk, honk.
Mirror!
Oui, un grand mirror. La most enormous mirror.
Honk. Honk at the goose in chat.
Honk at the goose in chat. And suddenly, the mystery disappears. Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it. I feel like that's a mic drop moment. Just... that would explain the coffee cup and the earpiece conundrum. The mirror would have made everything appear back to front.
What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this to be happening to me.
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
And who were the 2 customers, exactly?
Mice, of course. La young man who died. And la other, not so young man. You're referring to yesterday's witness, I presume.
What about the other man Maggie said she saw at the table? Something tells me Mr. Armstrong isn't planning to disclose his existence.
We need some hard evidence first before we can bring him up, don't we?
I guess I'll just have to try a different approach for the time being. You were experimenting with Art Deco? How come I never heard about that before today?
You are not familiar with the language of interior design, monsieur?
Please stay on topic. Now, why didn't you tell the court about this before?
But I did, just a few moments ago. Excuse me, Mr. Armstrong. This deco you mentioned, are you referring to some sort of decorator?
No. Art Deco. It's a style of design, Your Honor.
Wow, your full art kid is just coming out in full force these, like, past 6 months, Nick. I mean, theater major, but you lectured me for about 3 hours about background design, so...
I just like art in all of its forms.
It's totally cool! I'm just observing how it's actually paying off in court for you.
Thank you for trying to make me feel better.
It's true! According to you, the only other person that would be more qualified would be Larry, which I don't believe.
You should see his art, I swear to God.
Yeah, I think I'll pass. Larry's art has got to be, like, stick figures, okay?
Okay. He's talking about interior design. Walls, ceilings, carpets, that kind of thing.
Ah, yes, of course. That deco. I was trying to achieve a more la effeminate look for my restaurant. I was planning the most bold remodeling of la decor. Like, I am sorry.
How big of a mirror are we talking about here?
Buff!
Did that kill you?
Yes! Because that sounds like something I would do. Just that noise. You know me, I make random fucking noises all the time. Buff is not something that's, like, out of the realm of possibility for me. So this both horrifies me and delights me. Nick, like, look, if you want a good example of what Art Deco and Art Nouveau, like, go play a video game called Transistor. Audrey, like, what is a video game? I still haven't played Transistor. I have it, and I need to play it, but I say forever. Buff, something about 4 meters wide and, oui, or about 2 meters high. Oh!
Let's see, if 1 meter is about 1 yard, holy glass in a frame, that's huge.
How big is that for reference? I actually don't know.
If it's, what was it, 3 by...
We don't have the thing. We don't have the option to see what was previously said yet. That comes in later games.
Or I think it was like 3 by 2, so it's like a 9 by 6 mirror.
Oh shit, feet?
Yeah.
Fuck. That is huge. I'm bad at envisioning things in my head, but even I can imagine that. I was intending to install it on the ceiling eventually.
The ceiling? Was there a was there a mirror on the ceiling? I don't remember.
Mice, none, but I decided not to go through with it in the end. Yes.
What should I do? Ask him more about the mirror or not?
We have to press everything.
Yay. If you really had such a large mirror in the restaurant, someone would have noticed it. But there's nothing about a mirror in Mr. Kudo or Maggie Bird's testimonies.
But...
Objection!
You didn't ask, Trite. You have only yourself to blame for such sloppy work.
What?
A mirror was delivered to Tribulations the day before the incident.
Really?
As Mr. Armstrong testified, he was carrying out some design changes. And as it turned out, he didn't actually use the mirror in the end.
This just doesn't add up. Even if a mirror was delivered to Tribulations, it doesn't prove that it was in the restaurant on the day of the crime.
If you want to doubt someone, Trite, look in the mirror. I'm sure the person looking back at you will be dubious enough. So the witness yesterday had seen the victim reflected in a mirror.
Normally, I'd expect people to know the difference between the reflection and a real object.
Objection!
Normally? How does normality come into this? That's lame, Trite, even for you.
Huh?
Are you trying to say that if something isn't normal, it isn't possible? Is that it? Where does that leave the porky-headed lawyer and the top-knock chit over there? And the ungodly cool guy with the mask over here? Well, Trite?
Ah, not the hair!
I do not have a top knot. Mr. Godot is correct. A lack of normality is no basis for discounting an argument. You have solved all of your cases based on that principle, Mr. Wright.
I know.
Bien, logic has won the day.
Everything. He would have seen everything in reverse.
Ooh-wee. Hey, Nick, we should take a second to think about what old CD said in his last testimony.
How did he phrase it again?
Oh, don't make me do it. Ah. The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side of the green lens of his specs. No question, you can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear without a doubt. And then he used the same hand to pick up the cup, his left hand. If he saw everything he described reflected in a mirror, then everything he said he saw on the left was actually on the right, huh?
And that clears up the problem with the testimony, I guess. Or does it?
Huh.
It's kind of hard to believe everything's the fault of a mirror, but...
Do you think old CD saw everything through a reflection?
If he did, it would explain all the contradictions in his testimony.
But that just makes the situation worse for Maggie. There's gotta be something in that old man's testimony. We just gotta dig deeper. Okay, I'm just looking at the court record right now. Okay, he broke the vase at his seat. That doesn't have anything to do with it. It's a right teacup drink with the right. Victim's prescription bag. Yeah, that's not right, because if he was wearing an earpiece in his left ear. Also, it would appear on the right, but his left eardrum was ruptured, so he still had it. So Kudo did see it two different ways.
You're thinking a little too complicated.
Yes,
because the lens doesn't go into the ear.
Right, but Kudo's thing was he was wearing it on the same side as his HMD.
Yeah, but that was impossible because he wouldn't have been able to hear it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Kudo saw that correctly-ish. I think. I'm not saying what my brain is. My brain knows what you're saying, and my brain is agreeing with you. My mouth cannot make the words. It's one of those times.
Yes, so, I mean, he technically would not have had that, so the statement of the cup, the earpiece, and the glasses is wrong.
Yes, and I just don't remember what we present for that.
Need help?
Well, it's either the cup or the ear medication.
Or it's a third option.
His profile?
I mean, it could be.
Is this profile? Did I get it on that?
Do you want me to tell you, or do you want to figure it out?
No, I'm actually asking you. I forgot.
It's the profile.
Okay. So I had it right when I was actually looking at his profile.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. No, I was like, I forgot. Help. Help.
The coffee cup, the earpiece, and the HMD. Let's think back over Mr. Kudos' testimony for a second, shall we?
The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side of the green lens of his specs. No question. You can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear without a doubt.
So, to summarize, we were told both the HMD and the earpiece were on the victim's left side. Now, if Mr. Kudos saw all that as a reflection in a mirror, that means both the HMD and the earpiece were actually on the victim's right side.
Exactamente. You see, monsieur, now that you think about it, it is not so hard, no?
Unfortunately, that's where you run into a monumental contradiction with the facts. If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in a mirror, why is it the HMD is now on the wrong side of his head?
Order, order. Mr. Wright is correct. If the witness genuinely observed the victim reflected in a mirror, then we would expect the victim's eyepiece to have been over his right eye.
Objection!
How bitter. Trite, you should have a taste of this bitterness. It'll calm you down in no time.
Are you talking about your coffee or something completely different?
You don't understand the way the witness thinks.
How he
I'm sorry,
thinks.
Duncan.
You remember this, I presume.
The I broke the vase, sorry apology I mean Mr. Kudo's sworn testimony.
Exactly. The old man has one very grievous habit, other than throwing seeds. The more of an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's the most striking thing about Mr. Elg?
Clearly, it's the victim's eyepiece.
And that's my point. The old man strikes again. Mr. Elg's HMD made a big impression on the old man.
I saw the earpiece in those newfangled spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both on his left ear. Do you hear? His left ear.
Well, Trite.
Please never do that again. That was the worst but best impression of Kudo ever.
Wow, I really thought he was old Zini for a minute there. That was good.
Maya,
What?
you're better. You're better.
Aw, thank you, Nick.
Enough.
I must agree that yesterday's witness... voicing Godot, voicing Kudo is the best shit I have ever heard. I'm losing it. I forgot to do it for Desiree properly, so I had to make up for it there. I must agree that yesterday's witness was irresponsibly rash in much of his testimony. Bad luck, Nick. Looks like your boil of a contradiction you found is just a rash. A mirror can't be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly was the old man looking at? Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on, tell the court. We're all ears.
Oui, I can explain. Please, if you will look at the plans of la restaurant. Alors, is everyone sitting comfortably? La mirror, it was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing the two halves. There is only one seat from which you could have seen an image of la victim. That was the seat at the table next to la victims. That was where la old man was sitting. After la terrible incident occurred, I moved la mirror so it was not in the way. But naturally, I did not touch anything else. I see no problems with the explanation we've just heard. From the table next to the victims, Mr. Kudo could have seen the victim in the mirror. What a naughty little coquette I am, confessing all these men. Yes, or confusing all these men, even. I'm confessing for these men, too.
Don't worry about it. We can keep up, except for the guy breaking out in a cold sweat over there again.
Ugh, I hate this guy.
Which one?
Yes.
I don't know. Kiddo's kind of suave.
Ugh.
You said you didn't touch anything else apart from the mirror. Are you quite sure about that? Volunteers, of course. Very well. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please.
So, run this by me again. The mirror was here, correct?
Oui.
Oui, really. Because I know if I were you, I wouldn't have put a mirror there. Be in the way.
Objection!
Look who's talking, Trite.
Huh.
You are obstructing my view, among other things.
But, this is my seat in the courtroom.
Tribulations' charm is that it gives you the impression that you're the only customer. Temporarily placing a mirror in that spot would hardly be in the way. Unlike you, Trite.
I tell you, monsieur, la mirror was there in the middle of la restaurant.
And where would that be?
Oh la la, look how you lean towards me. I always attract the younger boys. Maybe I should keep you in suspense a little longer.
I'm leaning back.
Lean back farther.
I can't lean back anymore. I'm leaning against the partitions.
Go through the partition. Mr. Edgeworth will be so mad.
With what?
I mean, he might take it the wrong way. He's
What the wrong way?
He's kind of emotionally stunted, Nick.
There's nothing wrong to take the wrong way.
I don't know. Armstrong's coming onto you pretty hard right now.
Ugh.
I mean, even Mr. Edgeworth would be able to see that. He might misconstrue it.
No. No.
Oh? Is that
No.
some admission I hear?
No.
that's-
Let's just get back to
Huh?
court.
Huh? 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 Huh?
In court, Maya. Behave.
One of these days, Nick, I'm gonna get it out of you. Now, Mr. Armstrong, tell the court what you know at once.
Your Honor.
You're welcome, Mr. Wright. I felt quite bad for you. There is no badger involved in this. You really do need to talk to Mr. Edgeworth more, though.
Like Aji doesn't know he's fucking third wheeling whenever Nick and Miles are in court.
Everyone's third wheeling.
I love that post. Everyone be third wheeling when these two fuckers step into the courtroom. I attract the other ones too, you know, handsome. Shall I tease you too? I might make a badger for him.
Go for it.
Then I shall.
Is this where the proto badger comes from?
Yes!
The most nightmare of all?
Yes, I was actually about to say it. I shall name him the Proto Badger. You literally stole my joke. You fucking shit. The Proto Badger is why I hate the Blue Badger. Fun fact, guys.
Oh, I love the blue badger.
If you don't know, you'll find out. But if you know, you know. Jesus Christ, fucking Proto Badger bullshit. Oh, I see. Yeah, you know. You know, Miri. You know exactly what fucking scene is running through my head when I say Proto Badger. I'm already seeing a very hot someone, so I'm afraid you'll be waiting for a long time. I bet she has a mocha cream skin and cappuccino perfume. Bien, I will tell you. There was only one seat from which you could have seen.
So why can you only see the victim from that particular seat?
Mince, monsieur. Is it obvious, no? If you look at the plans, you will understand. La victim would have been reflected in the mirror like so. If you were sitting at the table next to him, you would see everything, no? So that's the seat old Seedy was sitting in that day when the poisoning happened.
The old man was sitting at the table next to the victim? Why does that seem kinda odd? Did you move the mirror while Mr. Kudo was off calling the police?
Oui, exactement. I carried it out of the restaurant then.
You moved a huge mirror like that all by yourself.
Have you seen his rippling biceps? I'll give Gene something. He is swole.
Yes, I have, Maya. I've seen them connecting with my face.
Ah, that's right. I don't think he'd like doing that, Nick. I mean, if you ask, he'll kiss him and make him better.
I don't want him to kiss my face.
No?
No.
Do you want somebody else to kiss your face?
I just want my face to stop hurting. I want the ibuprofen to kick in.
That didn't answer my question.
I want ibuprofen to kiss my face and make it better. Is that okay with you?
Ugh. You know, Nick, you keep dodging my questions. I'm gonna think you're starting to be interested in somebody else. Just saying.
Someone else?
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody I don't know.
Oh, whatever. Anyway.
What can I say? I know how to pick things up, handsome.
Oh.
Yeah, like Mr. Armstrong, maybe. Godot actually laughed at something.
My misfortune.
Well, given the witness's physique, I suppose it is possible. Yeah, dude is seriously swole. Like, he could have done it. Did you move anything else from the crime scene, Mr. Armstrong? I look like the obliging type, none?
Are you sure about that?
I touched nothing except the mirror. Mr. Wright, is there something the witness has said that doesn't match the crime scene?
Yeah, there is. I just can't put my finger on what exactly.
Suffering from a case of heartburn, Trite? Oh, I am just using for that. An oil with golden myrrh and frankincense.
Add a few drops to your coffee and voila. Enjoy.
You want to add myrrh and frankincense to your coffee? Yeah, focus, Phoenix. Breathe. I need to ignore these or those two and just find some evidence.
It is pretty strange, though, isn't it? I mean, nobody mentioned anything about a really large mirror. You'd think someone would have, but Maggie didn't, and neither did old Celie.
Then the only logical explanation is that there was no mirror inside of Tribulations that day. Now I've just got to prove it, somehow.
Oh, God. I think I'm at point D again, which is the medicine bottle, so proving
Yeah,
that
you're at point D.
that the mirror didn't exist. He's saying it was right down the middle. I forgot you guys can't see my mouse pointer, but it is here. I'm making the slashing motion. He's saying it's right in the middle and that Kudo was in the table. I would, well, across next to, whatever. He was behind the partition. But we have to prove that he was actually sitting across the aisle.
Yeah, we got a piece of evidence that can show that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. When the incident occurred, I broke the vase at my seat. I'm sorry. Is it the vase? Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Because this vase is still intact, so it is Kudo's testimony.
Well, no, we don't prove it. We don't show his testimony yet.
Oh, but we show the photo?
Yeah.
Okay. Aha, I refigured it out. Okay.
Just gotta get on the right statement.
Yes. So there's only one seat from which you could have seen an image of the victim. That was the seat at the table next to the victims. That was where the old man was sitting. It's here.
Yeah.
This is why I wait like a couple of years always, because I refigure shit out and I'm like, yeah. The only case I have like memorized is 1-4.
I mean,
you have Rise from the Ashes. Yeah, I was gonna say you have Rise from the Ashes memorized. I didn't even need to have a fucking transcript pulled up for that. You were like, I know exactly what happens.
This piece of evidence contradicts with the testimony you've heard, Your Honor.
The crime photo?
Yes, this photo clearly shows something that theoretically should not exist.
What on earth do you mean by that, Mr. Wright?
Should not exist? Sounds like you're describing yourself, Trite.
Now then, if the defense would please clarify in its statement. What is the something that should not exist in this photo? It's device.
I think it's pretty obvious that this is what should not be in this picture.
The vase? What possible connection does that have with this witness's testimony?
Your Honor, I'm telling you that there should be no vase on this table. Because it's very, very clearly contradicts with this piece of evidence.
Now here's Kudo's testimony.
Yep. There is one thing that was clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Kudo broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting. And yet, as the court can see, there is an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Why? Because Mr. Kudo was not, in fact, sitting at the table next to the victim at all.
Objection!
Don't be an idiot, Trite. That's impossible. That seat's the only one Kudo could have seen the victim's reflection from.
Exactly. There's only one conclusion we can draw from this contradiction. There was no mirror in Tribulations that day. Your testimony, Mr. Armstrong, is an elaborate lie.
Mon Dieu! Don't try to confuse the court, trite. Obviously, the witness cleaned up the vase while the police were taking their time getting to the crime scene.
Unfortunately, Mr. Gatto, that doesn't quite work for me. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary, in his own words. I didn't touch anything else, except the mirror.
Well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself?
I was right. There was no mirror in the restaurant that day.
In light of this revelation, we turn back to the original problem. Why did the victim have an earpiece in an ear which he couldn't hear?
You only get one shot in life. There's no turning back. If you want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, trite, then this problem is all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw?
If I can answer this, then I'll be that much closer to the truth. I can feel it.
Are you gonna be okay? You took a blow to the head. Can you really solve this contradiction, Nick?
There's more than one, just one contradiction, Maya.
What do you mean?
Remember what Maggie told us? There was another man at the victim's table. And there was a sample CD on the victim's table. It's all files. It all flies in the face of Mr. Kudo's testimony. I think I know the reason why nothing in this case is adding up.
Well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer.
Yes, Your Honor. The reason behind all the contradictions in Mr. Kudo's testimony is simple.
The ear doctor didn't make a mistake. Kudo making a mistake is too easy, isn't it? Oh, the victim. It is. The victim was a wait. What? 1:30 and 2:30 p.m. every Monday at 1:30. But he only died minutes afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So the victim was a phony. That's the twist. I remember now. Yes? I'm remembering correctly?
Yes. Yes.
I remember, see?
Yeah.
I remembered! I was like, what was the fucking twist? Like, wait a fucking minute. What was the twist? How did they get away with that shit? That's right.
This case is riddled with contradictions. Yet, there's one simple answer that clears them all up.
And what is that?
The incident Mr. Kudo witnessed and the incident the victim experienced were two completely different events.
What?
Yes, the victim that Mr. Kudo saw wasn't Mr. Glenn Elg at all. It was an imposter, a phony pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there was nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. And that's why he ended up wearing the earpiece in his left ear by mistake.
Also, chat, you made me sad.
Order! Order in the court! Settle down or I'll clear the courtroom.
Quiet, Gramps. Why don't you clear out of here, huh?
What did you say?
Uh-oh.
Trite. Are you saying what Mr. Kudo saw was a setup?
Yes. Someone pretended to be Glenn Elg and acted out the whole coffee poisoning. All with the express purpose of creating a witness out of one Mr. Victor Kudo.
Get real, Trite. Why would anyone want to do that?
Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Kudo was most insistent about in his testimony was...
The serving girl brought him a Javachino, but she put something in it. That's the serving girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well. It's so hard to believe, but...
There was one and only one reason to show Mr. Kudo this fake poisoning. Show Maggie Bird in the act of poisoning the coffee.
Are you insinuating that the waitress in the old man's story was a fake as well? It's true that there were no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but... It's also true that the chef was there. He would have noticed what was happening.
That's right. We're witness. If your restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics, you would have known about it, correct?
Oh la la, this is most difficult for me.
No, it's quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You are under oath, after all. Was there, in fact, a phony at Tribulations that day? The defense demands that Mr. Armstrong tell the whole truth about what happened.
The defense's request for additional testimony is accepted. You will accurately explain, in detail, the events in the restaurant that day.
Oui. La victim, Monsieur Elg, he came to my restaurant alone. I remember the old man arrived not long after him. There were no other customers. When he got word he won a lottery, Monsieur Elg became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later that the poisoning incident occurred. No, there was no time for a phony to do the acting.
Just so we're clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant after all.
Je vous demande pardon. Forgive me, Your Honor. I lied because I wanted this mess to be cleared up quickly.
What you have just done is committed perjury, Mr. Armstrong. I will decide how to punish you later.
Oh, oui.
For now, we will hear your cross-examination. Mr. Wright, if you please.
He took the perjury charge a bit too well. But I'm guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after this cross-examination. Was he alone at his table as well?
Mais oui, I saw him from the kitchen.
Yet the defendant, Miss Bird, remembers it differently. She swears there was another man at the victim's table.
Unfortunately for you, Trite, yesterday's witness also testified that the victim was alone. You know, seeing you squirm like that reminds me of a certain coffee's bittersweet bite.
What kind of coffee has he been drinking?
It's not coffee, it's love. It's love that's bittersweet.
Hearing Maya say that makes her seem wise all of a sudden.
Hey! It's been like 2 years since you met me, jerk. I can get smarter.
Wizened and aged.
Says the one who's older than me.
On his deathbed.
Because he's so fucking old.
Uh-huh.
You're older than me. You can't call me old without just insulting yourself, Nick.
I said you seemed wizened and aged.
That implies
Wasn't
I'm
an
like
insult.
that implies I'm like Gandalf or something.
Gandalf's cool.
Yeah, but he's also super old.
Yeah, but he's cool.
And super old.
Do you want to be cool or not?
What, so you have to be old to be cool? The Steel Samurai
Maybe.
isn't old and he's cool?
Ugh. We're not getting into this.
Oh, there was a definite ugh.
Not getting into this.
I'm
I am in
totally-
court, Maya.
I'm totally texting Mr. Edgeworth that when we get out of court.
We're in court right now, Maya.
Let me just compose it in my head. You'll never believe
it.
what Nick said today. I mentioned the Steel Samurai and his visceral reaction was, ugh. I wish you could have heard it. BT Dubs, how's the European release edition? I heard you got a lot of cool swag. You can't tell me she doesn't text him about Steel Samurai shit.
Oh, all the time. By old man, you mean Victor Kudo, correct?
Oui, he comes often for my special coffee. I drank your coffee once, Mr. Armstrong. It's special, I'll give you that. It's worth a sip, just for the experience. Oh, you make me so happy, monsieur. You are most welcome anytime. I said it was worth one sip, and nothing more.
Well, Mr. Kudo arrived at the restaurant around the same time as the victim. Maybe I should ask about his arrival in more detail.
I think we need to do everything.
We have to do everything. So you're saying not much time elapsed between when the victim and Mr. Kudo arrived?
Oui, that is correct.
But that still leaves the possibility of something happening in that gap of time. And by your recollection, how much time would you say elapsed?
Let me see. Approximately 2 minutes, I would say.
2 minutes. That's all.
It seems unlikely that anything untoward could have happened in such a short time.
Rats. I knew I shouldn't have pursued that line of questioning.
Let's go back. Get the dialogue.
Out of curiosity, about what time was it when Mr. Kudo arrived?
Oh no, I cannot remember, monsieur. I believe we were told by a witness yesterday.
The crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by kind of a scary old man, sir.
Does that perhaps jog your memory, witness? The incident happened about 20 minutes after he arrived. So the victim must have arrived between 2 p.m. and 2:10 p.m., no?
Just after 2, huh?
Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, monsieur. You are wonderful. I can't sit here all the time and do nothing now, can I? The time of day will be added to the witness's testimony. Oui, monsieur judge. Everything I do it for you. Merci bien. That's French, isn't it? Also, I'm happily married with children and grandchildren and... No thank you, Mr. Armstrong.
I'm glad at least one person is in a good mood.
He's even humming a song to himself. Proto Badger, your name shall be.
It's not a song. That's a chant.
Oh, Mr. Wright, you haven't heard chanting. Yeah, Badger Fatagan.
Fuck.
I was trying not to laugh, and that's my Audrey voice correct. I remember the old man arrived not long after him, just after 2 p.m.
Are you absolutely sure about the time?
When I think really hard, I am sure it was just after 2, oui. It is the time I stopped serving the lunch menu. Quite right. I always break for lunch when the restaurants are serving their specials. I've been known to wind up a case early just to make it on time.
I guess you should never get between a hungry judge and his lunch.
Oh, would you look at that? It's almost lunchtime already.
Witness, get on with your testimony, please. So your only customers were Mr. Kudo and the victim.
Objection!
How many times do you need to ask the same thing, Trite? You'd never catch me drinking the same blood twice.
Huh?
You're trying to establish the presence of a phony victim in the restaurant. But you're wasting your time. You can't grind birdseed to make coffee, if you catch my drift.
There's a hole in this testimony somewhere. I'm sure of it. Did you see him?
No, I was in the kitchen, but I heard him. I remember him shouting, "Yes, have $1 million." Presumably, the defendant heard that too then, correct? Maggie? She looked like a poor little frightened dove.
And what about Mr. Kudo?
The old man choked on some bird seeds that got stuck in his throat. It seems we now have yet another incident on our hands.
And what were you doing at that point? Without any customers, you must have had time to kill.
I am a multi-talented woman, monsieur.
Sorry, what do you mean?
There is the renowned chef Jean Armstrong and the tragic poet Clarice Armstrong. Clarice? Oh, Pearly's theme with this man is not right. Don't do this to Pearls. Oui, I was writing a poem. An angry tale of a chef and $500 million of debt. Cooking for a man who won $500,000 on the lottery. It is called Pourquoi? It means why. Perhaps I could recite it for la cour?
Please don't. You mean you contacted the police as soon as the incident occurred?
I asked the old man to carry from la payphone to call. By your own argument, Trite. The purpose of this phony victim's performance was so the old man would see it. In other words, once the incident occurred, this opportunity would completely disappear. Indeed. Bien, it seems the shadow of doubt has been lifted. N'est-ce pas? I guess Mr. Armstrong is connected to this case, huh?
Absolutely. Someone was impersonating Mr. Elg. I refuse to believe he was, and I refuse to believe he was Theus. He was there the whole time, after all.
But if you're right, wouldn't Maggie have noticed too?
She fell unconscious when the incident occurred, remember?
Ah, you mean that's when the phony stages act?
We'll know for sure once we find the hole in this when we find the hole in this testimony.
Okay, so it's the timing because it's Millionaire Radio. That happens at 1:30. So it's just after 2 p.m.? No. I think that was it. Yeah, it needs to be on the added statement. I believe.
I think it's one where you can present it on a bunch of different statements. I just don't remember which one you can't present it on.
I think it has to do with the timing. If not, we'll take a hit. I mean, we've got a full fucking bar. And if not, it's my oopsie. Millionaire Lottery. Ah, there it is. Millionaire Radio Flyer. Monday at 1:30 p.m. Boom, baby! Added statements usually mean something.
I'm afraid I finally got you, Mr. Armstrong.
What? What do you mean?
At the time in question, the victim was listening to the radio in his earpiece. The show he was listening to was Millionaire Radio. Each week, they announced the winning numbers of a $500,000 lottery ticket.
Oui, that must be la show Monsieur Erg was listening to. I can't see any problem with this testimony, Mr. Wright.
I wonder.
Uh-huh.
You say the victim arrived at the restaurant after 2 p.m., correct?
Oui, I am sure of it. I remember it perfectly now. I know it was that time because I had just finished serving the lunch menu. Get to the point, Wright, if you have one.
That show is broadcast live at 1:30 p.m. And it claims to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life.
It's on the air at 1:30.
Now, supposedly, the victim made some noise when it was announced that he had won. And yet, I don't believe his cry of joy could have occurred after 2 p.m. Because the show had already ended more than 30 minutes earlier at that point in time.
No!
This victim that we've been told about has done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a ruptured eardrum, catching the show that was already over. There's only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. The victim was an imposter, acting out the poisoning 30 minutes after the real murder. Yes, there were 2 Glen Elgs in Tribulations that day. The real Glen Elg, now dead, having been poisoned by the real killer. And the phony Glen Elg acting out the events for Mr. Kudo to witness.
It certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how could you explain the time discrepancy?
Objection!
Quite a performance, Trite. You were almost on a roll. But sadly, you lack the rock-hard foundation of rhythm to build your song.
What is this? Music Theory 101?
Let's recap. According to your imaginative theory, it's just now after 2 p.m. The phony elk is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. How do you explain, then, where the real Glen Elg is?
I don't believe I have to spell it out for the court. However, at the time, the real Glen Elg was already dead.
That's certainly the obvious conclusion.
Objection!
Thank you, Trite. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say.
What?
Now, I presume you can prove this theory of yours? Can you explain where the missing corpse went to?
The missing corpse?
According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. If that customer was the phony Glen Elg, then where did the killer hide the body of the real victim?
The prosecution has a valid point, Mr. Wright. If your theory is to stand up to examination by the court, you must provide us with proof by answering the prosecution's question. Where did the killer hide the body?
Yes, Your Honor.
No conjecture, Wright. Let's hear some facts for once. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden.
Evidence?
What's with the intense pressure in here all of a sudden?
I thought I had him with the contradiction. But he's turned it all around and backed me into a corner instead.
Well, Mr. Wright, the court will now hear the defense's theory and evidence. First, where was the body of the real Mr. L concealed?
Inside Tribune.
It would have been too dangerous to take the body outside. Obviously, the body must have been hidden somewhere inside Tribune.
Interesting. But where could a body have been hidden inside a restaurant? Perhaps you would care to show the court on these plans, Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor. The exact location where the body was concealed in Tribune was here.
In the kitchen.
Yeah.
In the kitchen.
The body was hidden here.
I see.
Nice supposition. But the real question is, can you back it up? Where's the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location?
Now you can pull out one of the evidence that you've just been, like, twitching about.
Oh, the bottle. Small bottle. Yes, that's what I've been twitching about.
Yes, that is what you've been twitching about.
I just remember it being like super important. I'm just like, the bottle, where's the bottle coming into play? Where's the bottle? Where's the bottle? Like a dog.
You're like a dog. I was about to say you're like a dog with a bone.
Bone, where's the bone? Playtime, I won't play.
Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle?
None. I have never seen that ugly bottle before in my life. I only use the very best bottles, monsieur. The highest quality only for me.
Where was that bottle found, Mr. Wright?
Interestingly enough, Your Honor, it was found in the kitchen of Tribune.
Oh, achievement unlocked. Thank God, I was starting to get really afraid.
Oh, thank Christ.
Achievement unlocked, Jean's foreign language course. Okay, just for perspective on how rare this achievement is on Steam. I can't remember how rare it is on
Oh, it's stupid rare on PS4 as well.
Yeah, but the platinum outdoes it, which the Steam version doesn't have. The Steam version doesn't have that platinum trophy.
Yeah.
So on the Steam Achievo, let's see here. View all 30 Steam achievements. It is the rarest on Steam. Second only to Lunchbox Specialist. Check out every Lunchbox Angel Star has to offer, which we did in the first game. That one is also pretty difficult. Third is like my favorite trophy you can get, which we have not done yet. It is like one of the last optional trophies. Which literally ranking the top 5 rarest trophies were Naruhodo e Wright, presenting Max Galacticus Profile to Maya and Justice for All, which we did. Ladders versus Step Ladders, which is get every ladder versus step ladder conversation in the trilogy, which we should only have one more. Granted, I didn't miss Emma's in Rise from the Ashes, which I don't think I
didn't.
did. Okay, good.
I didn't let you.
Okay. And then third is the one I'm not even going to name it because it's great. Third is that optional one, which we get either right before or right after Ladders versus Step Ladders. It's in the same vicinity. It's in the same investigation vicinity. And then Lunchbox Specialist with Angel, and then Jean's foreign language course. None of them
The rarest gameplay one is a line I'm not going to say because it's actually very important to the plot, but it's clear the entire trilogy at 12.2%. Rarer than that is Please Turn In Your Badge, Justice Ill Served, Violetta's Homemade Donuts, Lot of Hair, Naruhodo Euraito, blah, 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 blah. So there's like 5 more above that. So, and then before that was just clear episode 5 of clear 3-5, essentially. So, yeah, we got the rarest achievement in the game. Is pain in my butt. But I don't have to do it ever again. We're done, Katie.
But we're not done with the bad French.
No, but we're pretty close to being done with the bad French. I think. Let me open the game back here.
Yes, we are.
What? But I only ever use these bottles for my aromatherapy oil.
But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy oil, Mr. Armstrong. No, it contains a medication.
What kind of medication?
I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they? That Mr. Elg visited the otolaryngological clinic and was given medication that day.
You can't be serious.
The defendant had the contents of this, the defense had the contents of this bottle analyzed, and the lab results are here. The contents of this bottle match the prescription that was given to Mr. Elg. Mr. Elg's murderer hid the body in the restaurant's kitchen, at which time the bottle fell out of the victim's pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, didn't you say you were in the kitchen?
Mon Dieu.
Yes, you know what I'm about to say. It was you who hid the victim's body. You did a fine job pretending to defend the client, Maggie Bird, however. You were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back.
No! Order! This is an extraordinary development. Witness, did you murder Mr. Glenn Elk? Never! I could not do such an horrible thing. No! My God. Did anyone else feel... Did we have an earthquake?
I think so.
I hope so. Mr. Godot? For some reason I was actually stuttering on that. The bitterness. Every time I get lied to, I always down a mug of coffee. That's one of my rules. I was thinking the same thing, chat.
Yeah. Do you have the slightest idea how many cups of coffee you've had by now?
Today or overall?
Yes.
$10,874 times.
Holy shit.
Satisfied? Trite?
A lot of coffee.
Then I like to do the same to the person who lied to me. I like to take them down with my empty cup. Listen up, chef. How about a brand new flavor in your ear, my H-deficient friend? Je vous demande pardon. Please, you must hear me out. It is a trap. Listen to me. Por favor. Wait, is that Spanish?
Yes.
Nick?
Even I know that.
Nick?
Yeah, that's Spanish.
Meanwhile, my Spanish self is vibrating. Yo hablo español. Mr. Armstrong and por favor is Spanish. Oh, Aji and I are vibing. Meanwhile, Godot, the actual Latino in the room, is like, you're all fucking amateurs.
Pretty much.
I'm only going to ask you once. Did you do it? None! Absolutely none! Oh. Let's hear it. You've got one shot. Right, Gramps? Witness, the court will permit you the chance to make one final statement. If you lie under oath again, Mr. Godot's coffee mug awaits you. As does my gavel. And Nick's axe.
You stole my line, Maya.
You weren't saying it quick enough. Were you actually gonna make that joke?
Yes.
Vengeance! Vengeance for earlier! Haha! Now we're even. Also, I think Miri's right. You're done with the unnecessary extra bad French, which is better than a sharp stick in the eye. Oui, it is clear.
What do they always say in the movies? I've got a bad feeling about this.
Insert bisexual battle
Bisexual
axe
battle axe
joke here. It works because he's bi. Oh, bless. Hey, Nick, I just had a thought. You're bi, and you're heterochromic. It's like you have one eye for each gender.
Thank you, Maya.
I can hear you laughing behind that one.
The blue one is the gay one.
So that's the one that's always on Mr. Edgeworth. Got it.
Ugh, I should have known you'd take it there.
What?
In court, Maya.
What?
We're in court, Maya.
It doesn't matter where we are. We're in the office, Maya. We're at a restaurant, Maya. We're walking in the park, Maya. I'm trying to sleep, Maya.
I don't sound like that.
You'd be surprised. The judge can officiate you right now. Ozzy, please. Holy shit. I just get this mental image of Aji being like, I proclaim you bisexual. Oh, God. It's late. Well, not really, but... Very well. Begin your final testimony, Mr. Armstrong. Oh, fuck. It is true. I ate labati in the kitchen. A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. I had to go along with him because there was a reason why I could not refuse. But I did not kill him. I swear it. You must believe me. You were forced? By whom? I cannot say, or I will be erased.
Let's try a different question then. When Mr. Elk died, was he really the only person at his table?
There was... There was another man.
I knew it.
Maggie was telling the truth. I mean, we knew that, but finally... You may cross-examine the witness now, Mr. Wright.
There's just one more thing I need to do. I've got to break this guy and get him to tell us the name of the real killer. Did you carry the body by yourself?
Oui, I carried him. And I carried Maggie too.
Maggie too?
When she saw the victim collapse, she fainted. I could not leave her there. But why did you hide the bodies?
What man? Who was he?
None, I cannot say. I fear for my life.
He's really scared.
Yeah, Maggie 2 as opposed to the original Maggie. Maggie X. You'll just have to put the words in his mouth, Nick.
Yeah, you're right. If you won't tell me, I'll tell him.
But why would you go along with this man? Maggie Man X. Thank you for putting down the reference. Thank you for picking up the reference I was throwing down for you. The Darker Sequel series.
And what reason would that be, Mr. Armstrong?
You know, monsieur.
Yes.
Surely you cannot expect a young maiden to talk about such an embarrassment.
A maiden? You're a bit old to be getting away with that.
And a bit too male.
I can't finish the cross-examination without establishing his reason. So I'll just have to prove it with evidence. So, you're claiming that all you did was hide the bodies. Is that correct?
Oui, that's right. If we are to believe you, Mr. Armstrong, you must tell the court everything. You must make clear the identity of the man who ordered you to do this. Oh. He's already confessed this much, you might as well stop dancing around the real issue.
Yeah, but he really doesn't want to tell us who the killer is.
I mean, the killer did a bang-up job of your, punching you in the stomach yesterday.
The killer didn't punch me in the stomach.
I thought Mr. Armstrong punched you in the eye.
He punched me 3 times, Maya.
I thought it was in the stomach. I was hiding under the table, Nick. Look, I'm sorry.
2 to the face, 1 to the gut.
Okay. I'm sorry, but at the same time, at least it wasn't a repeat of On Karma.
Yeah.
You were super...
Thank God for that.
You were super upset, and I did not want to put myself in unnecessary danger for you to get killed, okay?
Yeah.
Also, I was looking to bite his ankles. I'm dead serious. Just sink my teeth in and rip.
We'll talk about that at a later time. I'm not going to touch that right now.
I mean, I'd do it. Maya's just staring at Nick like that.
Anyway.
Then suck it to him, Nick. Can you imagine Maya coming out from underneath the table like some kind of proverbial fucking like bedtime monster?
Feral,
yes.
feral energy.
Yeah, oh my god, Maya's feral energy. And just chomping at the ankle. That would hurt.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were talking about Maya's idea. I was like, no, she's reading the line. Okay. So we have to... Chat. We have to present Tigre's, portrait. His profile. Portrait. Like he's as a fucking painting. I think on there was a reason I could not refuse. Or it's like any statement. I think. Yeah?
Yeah, it's the second or third statement.
Oh.
I think it's either or.
But it's not Tigre, is it? It's the loan contract.
Yeah.
Am I right about that?
Yes.
Okay. Haha.
You have a $500,000 debt, don't you?
$500,000? Is this true, Mr. Armstrong?
Oui, je suis désolé. I was weak and I borrowed the money.
This is Mr. Armstrong's Achilles heel. And that's why you couldn't refuse anything asked of you by this man. $500,000 loan from a black market loan shark. And you had no way of paying it back, did you? That's why you were forced to do anything this man told you.
Oui, it is as you say.
Mr. Armstrong.
La Tiger, he told me he was going to use my restaurant for a business rendezvous. On the day in question, he was meeting la victim to demand that he repay his loan. I don't know why it happened like that. I just did what he told me to do. I had no choice. I carried la body and la inconscient Maggie out of the dining area and into the kitchen. After that, I just tried to forget what I had seen.
I think we can now safely say that the man who forced your hand was Mr. Furio Tigre.
I do have one further question for you, Mr. Armstrong. The poison in the lottery ticket that were found in the defendant's apron pocket. Was that your doing as well?
None. I knew nothing about that. Making it look like it was Maggie who had done it. I was not. It is despicable.
Mr. Godot. You will summon this Furio Tigre as a witness. I doubt that can be arranged today, so we will adjourn for now. Proceedings will continue tomorrow.
"30 minutes.
What?
The trial will go on. I'll see to it myself. I need half an hour to get that guy on the stand. Not a minute more.
Oh, the.
Don't sit back and relax yet, trite. No one knows if that chef is really telling the truth or not. This trial could still go either way."
Very well. Your request is granted, Mr. Godot. We will resume once Mr. Tigre is ready to take the stand. Until then, the court is adjourned for a 30-minute recess. How long is Tigre's part? Because it's a lot of screaming.
More than I'm willing to do tonight.
Yeah, I'm like, oh.
Pretty lengthy.
Yeah, I was. Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it was actually short or not. Because sometimes you get the culprit on the stand, and it's just a matter of cornering them. But okay.
I mean, it's got good chunks to it.
Cool. I get to thrash the fuck out of my voice on Monday.
Yeah.
We're gonna save. Oh, and we got this fucking achievement. I wasted 6 save slots on you. Technically 5. But fuck. Oh, that was our test for the volume. Okay. Oh, I should have saved it in slot 2. Whatever. Okay. Oh. Whew. It is not late, but too late to keep going. And we've been doing this for officially over 4 hours now. So, we are going to call it an episode and a session here. We will see you guys on Monday. And yeah. We'll see you guys then. Thank you guys, as always, for coming. Katie and I always appreciate it. And anything you want to say, Katie?
I am tired.
You're tired? You are tired?
I am tired.
Well, then take a nap, then fire the missiles.
I also I no longer want to hear bad French for a while.
Okay, well, that is end of the world. That is end of the world, which you can never refuse. I'm gonna go see if my cat is still just hanging out in my closet, or if she snuck out. But no, you will no longer hear bad French. He's out. Well, except for like the credits.
Yay.
Except for the credits, but that's like it. I think he's in the credits. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if he actually shows up in the credits.
Yeah, I don't know. We shall see. But yeah, Jean is out. I believe. I think it's just Tigre from here on out, and
Yes, it is.
and Viola, maybe. Maybe Viola. I'm so sorry. Ah! Stop that. Poke my mouse. Okay. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Have a good one. Take it easy.